Because just like we have love language, conflict language, communication language, we have learning languages. And it is so important to take time to create your way of learning. And I think confidence is built from evidence. And so this is a starting point to how to create that evidence for yourself. If you want friends that you want to learn with, come join this community, because I'm sure you will find people here. How can you stay consistent? By planning. How can you stay consistent? By making it fun. Let's address how to figure out what type of learner you are. Hi everyone, welcome to the Empower Sounds podcast. My name is Mahika, and today we're going to talk about learning to learn. I think this is one of the best skills that you can give yourself. So if you give me a few minutes, I promise you that you're going to leave this video smarter and more confident in your ability to learn things. So, backstory, why am I making this video? I used to feel like I was really dumb because I found traditional school subjects really hard. I found science really hard. I found maths really hard. And then I realized that I'm not dumb. I just didn't know how to learn in a way that worked for me. And maybe the school system wasn't the best for my brain specifically and my way of learning. This is so relevant if you're neurodivergent. I have dyspraxia and ADHD, and I found school really hard. I spent so many years thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not smart, I just get mediocre results, all this stuff. And then the pandemic happened, and I had to teach myself stuff for the first time. And I ended up leaving getting really good results because I spent so much time by myself learning to teach myself stuff. And I learned what worked for me, and I ended up using those methods to teach myself a language. So I did French in school for from when I was 10 years old for the next 6-7 years, and I cannot speak a single word of French. I ended up teaching myself Spanish from 0 to fluent in half of the time, from 3 years. And so I want to make this video because I don't want you to live the rest of your life feeling like you're dumb. I don't want you to live the rest of your life feeling unconfident and feeling like you have to box yourself into one type of subject or area. You can go and learn whatever you want. And there's some things that will take you more time than others, but it's possible. It's possible. If I can do it, you can do it, because I'm telling you, it's not about smartness, it's about strategy. And so learning how to learn is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. And if you watch this video, you're going to leave with lots of different strategies. And I want you to tell me in the comments which strategies worked for you, how you're going to use this, and how you're going to figure out more about your learning language. Because just like we have love language, conflict language, communication language, we have learning languages. And it is so important to take time to create your way of learning. Because using that, you can literally, like I said, learn anything. You can learn a language, you can learn a skill, you can learn how to communicate with people, how to express yourself, how to start a project, how to do anything. And the more you do that, and the more different areas of your life that you try that in, you build confidence. And I think confidence is built from evidence. And so this is a starting point to how to create that evidence for yourself. Before I get into the tips of trying to figure out how you can learn to learn and what type of learner you are, I think it's so important to understand that motivation and all of this stuff comes from purpose. And so you have to put a purpose behind your learning. And I think that's where the school system sometimes struggles, because the purpose is very general and it's just about making us good members of society, helping us get jobs, all that kind of stuff. But when you're teaching yourself something, it's so important not just to have a goal, but to have a purpose of why you're doing it. Because when you have a why, it helps you stay more rooted into being consistent. And consistency is so important. Little and often is everything. So creating your why and creating lots of different fun reasons why. Your why is allowed to be fun, and it should be. There should be some joy element in that, because it's so much easier to stay consistent in something that you find enjoyable. And we're going to touch on self-discipline and consistency later. But I want you to start by thinking, what do I want to learn and why? And if you're not sure on what you want to learn, this is why I love learn lists. This is one of my favorite things. Go get a piece of paper or the notes on your phone and write down a list of random things you want to learn about. When you have 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, you can go listen to a YouTube video. You can go read a blog about it. You can go look it up on the internet. My learn list is so random. I have quantum physics, accounting, biochemistry on there, Portuguese grammar, how to color grade in Adobe Premiere Pro. These are all random things that I want to know a little bit more about, and there's nothing that I really need to make my life super 100% better at this point. but these are things that I really want to learn about, and I don't have the time to make it like a full main quest, get a tutor, get a teacher, pay money, like invest lots of time, but it's still stuff that I'm interested in. And so having those bits of micro learning is so nice. And actually, like, the more you do that, the more you realize that learning can be fun. And I think, again, school can be traumatic for some of us because we're shamed into believing that we're not smart, or because you can have experiences with bullying or loneliness or just not feeling supported or whatever. And so if that's you, then re-loving to learn is one of the most beautiful things that you can do, because it's all about, like, I think life is all about creating and learning. And so learning is one of the best things you can give yourself. Go make a learn list, go choose something from the learn list and set a goal of why you want to do it. Now, you've done that. You've made your learn list. You have set your goals behind it. And with the goal, it's important, like they talk about the SMART goal. So that's specific, measurable, actionable, time-bound, and realistic. I don't like the SMART goal because I don't like the word realistic. I think it's very limiting. I think accessible is a nice word because you feel like you can kind of enter, but realistic is so confining. So I think just make your goal a little bit tangible. And I say, instead of making it a SMART goal with specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time-bound, I would say make it tangible and make it fun. So something that you can actually tick off and something that you enjoy, something that brings you excitement. Because have you ever noticed that, like, you don't find it hard to prep for something that you're excited about? If you're going on holiday, it's not difficult to prep and pack your suitcase and do all the stuff. Like, you actually enjoy it, right? And so if you make your goal something that you can look forward to, and if the actual goal is like an exam or something that you're not looking forward to, how are you going to celebrate succeeding with that goal? That will help you with the motivation and the discipline piece. And we're going to come back to discipline and consistency. But now let's address how to figure out what type of learner you are. Okay, so there is so much random stuff that you can look into, so many different, there's no set framework for figuring out what your learning language is. That's something that I've just kind of made up to help you understand that just like we have personality types and love languages and all this stuff, learning languages is a thing. It's not like an official thing, but there's lots of different tools that you can use. So the first one that I like to talk about is the visual, kinesthetic, and auditory framework. So if you're a visual learner, that means that basically you learn by seeing things and having like visual representations. Maybe you're the kind of person who takes really aesthetic notes. At school, you were one of those people who had really like nice notes with the highlighting and everything. You need to write something down to remember it and to understand it. And so visual learners, studies say that you're 42% more likely to remember something if you write it down. If you're a visual learner, that applies to you even more. Go and find ways to make things visual. Make concepts that you find difficult into diagrams. Make notes, write it down. Go and read and then rewrite, summarize. If you're a visual learner, I'm jealous of you, because I think visual learners are the ones that benefit the way from the school, how school teach us, because you can kind of see slides and PowerPoints and all that stuff and it makes sense to you. But again, if you're listening to something like this and you need to write it down, you need to have it in front of you to understand it, it's so good to know that, because maybe if you are one of those people that feel like you don't have a good memory because you're constantly listening to things and you can't remember, it might just be because you have a visual learning style and you didn't note it in some way. And so linking with memory, I'm going to give you a hack on memory, but first let's just do the other types for fairness. So the next type is auditory learning. Now, auditory learners, basically the way that you learn information is that you receive it through kind of sound, so like speaking and listening, and conversations are your learning language. And so you are my podcast kings and queens, my people who like to listen to conversations. You're my people who like to talk to understand something. So you might be one of the people who need to converse with other people to process it, or to have one-on-one kind of conversations to understand concepts, ask lots of questions. And the third type is kinesthetic learners, who are people who need to engage with the topic and they actually need to like use their hands and get involved with whatever they're learning about to understand it a little bit more. Maybe you're the kind of people who needed to make like a model or something in school, or debate, or be involved in activities to understand something because you needed the activity to remember the information. So ask yourself, which one are you? I'm sure there's quizzes online that you can look into. If I find one, I'll link it in the bio so you can check that out. Then the next thing that you need to know is, what is my learning like style, in the sense of how social do I like my learning? Because not everyone likes learning in groups. There's some people who love learning in groups, and they love bouncing off other people's ideas, and they love having that system of lots of people in one room to keep you accountable, all this kind of stuff. There's some people who hate it. There's some people who hate asking questions in front of a big group. They find it awkward. They find it anxiety inducing. You might be one of those people who enjoys one-on-one conversations more. You get more out of it if you're speaking one-on-one with someone. So a tutoring style might help you. Or like finding, if you're learning a language, like a language buddy. Or there's so many platforms where you can find like a pen pal or something that you can practice your language with. Or are you one of those people who just enjoys learning by yourself? You take it at your pace, you take it slowly, as quickly as you want, and you're very intrinsically self-motivated. Like, it's important to figure that out, because knowing that will help you understand what type of environment you want to teach yourself in. Do you want to, if you're teaching yourself, you can learn by yourself in your room alone, like watching videos, looking at resources, or you can find someone like a language buddy or an accountability partner, or like people who are interested online in the same things as you and have like someone to speak with, or you can go find them in groups. And so if you need that social element to learn and to feel motivated, then go find whatever you're trying to learn more about in a group setting. The next thing that you need to know about is, how long is your attention span? Like, how much can you work at once? There's so much on the internet about like Pomodoro working and like 90-minute deep works and all this kind of stuff. So figuring out, am I the kind of person who can sit in one place and learn for 90 minutes at a time? Or do I need to do 20-minute short bursts? Or do I find 20-minute short bursts really distracting? Do I need something in the middle? Or how long can I stay focused on a task in the flow zone? Flow state, not flow zone. How long can I stay focused on a task in the flow state? And the more you ask yourself these questions, the more you can design a way of working that resonates with you. So for example, in my case, I think I am a kinesthetic and auditory learner. I work best on a one-to-one basis, and I work best not in deep work or Pomodoro, but when I task batch, and I have certain time slots where I do like admin hour, for example, and I do all my admin tasks then, or I do like podcast hour and I script all my podcasts. Also, environment is everything. Are you the kind of person who needs an aesthetic environment to learn? I'm one of those people. And so going to a place where it's social and it's cute and all this kind of stuff is so important to me, because I need to have some sort of like external stimulation for when I'm thinking, or when I get like a little bit distracted, to have inspiration to like not just stare at like bright white lights in the library or in my bedroom. And so also leaving my house, I need to leave my house to work. Like working on my desk is too much all day. Like I go crazy. And so taking some time to reflect, and I'm going to do some journal prompts in the description as well, so you can ask yourself these questions and go get some paper and go write it down and try and figure this out about yourself, because you'll save so much time. You understand, reflect back at your time in school. What worked? What were your favorite classes? When did you feel like you did well? When did you feel like you needed more support? And then use that to design something that works for you, a system that works. So you don't have to spend any money. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be super time consuming, but it's good to have that system in place, because you can always want to teach yourself something. And then when you have your learn list accompanied with that system in place, you'll know exactly what you want to learn and how you're best suited to learn it. You might find it really hard to figure out what your learning style is, and trial and error is okay. Like, you're allowed to experiment with different styles and see what works for you. Also, you might change. I think when I was a bit younger, I had slightly more kinesthetic style than auditory, but now because I work in podcasts, I have developed how to listen and how to learn by listening more and more and more and more. And so your style is allowed to change. You're allowed to tweak it. And I think, yeah, like it's a really, really useful thing to know. If you have more questions on different ways that you can figure out your learning language, let me know in the comments and I can make like follow-up little short videos about it. But these are the main questions I'd ask myself. Am I kinesthetic, auditory, visual? What is the time that I like to work the most effectively in? Like, what is the most amount of time I can do without feeling horrible? And do I like working alone, one-to-one, or in groups? Okay, so you have your system in place and you have your learn list in place. What do you do next? How can you be consistent? This is my formula. I think the best way to understand self-discipline is these 3 steps: planning plus consistency plus fun. If you're ambitious, which I know you will be because you're watching this video, or you set goals for yourself, then you might have the tendency to be someone who likes to make plans and lots of goals. But I want to emphasize that you need to know when you're going to put this into your life. When are you going to make time to learn in your life? Because if you're really busy and you don't have the time, then maybe now is not a season of your life where this is a priority. And if you don't have time for it, don't make yourself feel bad. I think sometimes we self-sabotage by setting ourselves too many goals, and then realizing we can't do it, and then feeling bad that we couldn't do it, and then being like, oh, like I'm not good enough because I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do. It's better to just start with something that feels more manageable. And the best way to do that is just to start with, when can I make time for this? And so planning. Now, there's this book called Atomic Habits, which I'm sure you've heard of. It's really famous, where he talks about setting a specific time. So like, I work out every morning at 7:00 in the morning before I go and have breakfast, for example. I struggle with that because I like to have flexibility in my life, and not every single day looks the same. Like, no 2 days look the same. Everything's a bit different. But I know, for example, I like to make at least 10 minutes a day for learning. And I will have different things that I can give myself. I'll have like a menu of different options. So I know that when I do my makeup, for example, it will be my time to listen to a podcast. And usually that's something to do with like Portuguese language or whatever, because I'm teaching myself Portuguese, or it could be something to do with business or spirituality or whatever. And then another time I can do it is when I'm cleaning my house or when I'm going on a walk. And so I have these like actions, and this is called habit stacking, where you just stack it to something. So planning, when are you going to do the task that you want to do? And how can you set yourself up for success? Next thing is consistency. Little and often. This is my motto. You don't need to do 100 things. You don't need to do it for 10 hours. How can you do a little bit every so often? Now, it doesn't have to be every day if you don't have time for every day. But something that I like to remember is, this is not a rule. It's called a 2-day rule, but it's a guideline. So basically, it's this principle that you don't skip anything 2 days in a row, because 2 days then becomes 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then you just drop off the face of the earth and you never do it again. So instead of the 2-day rule, just ask yourself, like, if I'm not doing it consistent, like, how can I do it as consistency as possible? And how can I make it easy for myself? So again, start small and just build up the habit and the confidence that you can do it. And again, it's so important to give yourself options. Every single day, I sometimes don't have time to do like lots and lots of like 31-hour minute learning sessions, but I will always have 5 to 10 minutes. I will always have 5 to 10 minutes. It might be when I'm taking my makeup off, when I'm doing it, when I'm cleaning the house, when I'm doing something. And so I give myself options, and it helps me stay consistent. Consistency is scary. It's really scary because you think, oh my God, how can I do it? Especially if you're like me and you have a very like up and down life where things are always changing and you're always doing different things. It's so important to create anchors of consistency in your life, especially if you live a life where you're not in the same place all the time, you're not doing the same thing. How can you how can you create little anchors of, I do these mini actions every single day? And so it doesn't have to be long, little and often, 5-10 minutes. How can you stack it, like I said, on top of other tasks? And the thing I would recommend for this is to get a habit tracker. I use this app on my phone called Habit, but you can literally use like a notebook, a pen, you can use your calendar, you can use your to-do list, and yeah, like track it. You don't have to be neurotic around it, but just keep like an eye on it, and you'll feel more motivated when you see that they're adding up. And the last thing I would say is fun. You have to make it fun. Fun is literally the secret to everything. I talk about this in a lot of my episodes, but making things that you need to do fun, or things that you want to do fun, is one of the best ways you can guarantee that you will do it consistently. How can you stay consistent? By planning. How can you stay consistent? By making it fun. How can you make it fun? There's so many ways that you can make it fun. And again, having a little bit of time to reflect on what you enjoy and what works for you is such a good way of making it fun. And trying new things, knowing what you enjoy. And there's so many different ways to have fun. Like, fun does not have to always be going out or like spending time with friends. But if you like going out and spending time with friends, how can you weave that into your goals? How can you weave that into your learning? How can you find friends that you want to learn with? If you want friends that you want to learn with, come join this community, because I'm sure you will find people here. Comment down below. I'm sure you'll find like-minded people. But yeah, make it fun. And there's so many different ideas. If you don't know how to make something fun, ask ChatGPT. I'm sure it's going to give you lots of different ideas. And yeah, it's allowed to be fun. So this is my framework to self-discipline. We have planning, consistency, and fun. How are you going to plan it so that you can set yourself up for success? And coming with a plan is knowing what system works for you. And how do you create a system? By reflecting on what you like, what you don't like, and having that self-awareness. Then consistency. How can you show up regularly to do it? And then fun. How can you make it fun so that you're not making your life miserable when you consistently show up to do it? And that is the thing that I think has changed my life. This formula and just knowing how to learn. It means I've been able to teach myself Spanish. It means I've been able to set up my own business. It means I've been able to grow this podcast and make it better for you guys with each season. And I can't wait to continue learning. I can't wait to continue learning and trying new things and experimenting. And it's so fun. And okay, this is one thing that I also recommend. So how do you remember all the information that you learn? Make a second brain. So have a system to take down some of this information. I personally like to use Notion, and I literally have this section called Second Brain, and I split it up into the different categories that I want to learn about. And I just like, you don't have to take notes because that sounds stressful, but anything that you want to remember or anything that you want to know more about, you can voice note yourself, you can make notes, you can tell other people. But having like a system of sharing the information is so important as well, because you can come back to it. You can come back to it, and then you don't have to like keep it in your brain. And my last bit of advice around learning to learn is surround yourself with people who love to learn as well. Surround yourself with curious people, because your environment is everything, and the people around you reflect the person that you are. And so if you're naturally curious about this world, it's nice to surround yourself with people who are curious as well and who pique your curiosity. I think it's so important. And yeah, like just surround yourself with a community of people who inspire you, people who know different things to you so that you can learn from them. And I think that's how you can enjoy your relationships more, when you treat the people in your life like they're the most interesting people and that you can learn from them. It's so true. It's so rewarding. And so with that, I leave you. I hope these tips helped. And if you have any specific questions on how to learn something, comment them down below, and I will do my best to respond to all of them. Also, you've got this. You're smart. Don't let anyone decide who you are. You get to decide who you are, and you get to change that at any point. At any point, if you don't feel smart enough, if you don't feel worthy enough, if you don't feel good enough, you can always turn around and you can always decide that, no, I'm going to teach myself to be a version that I actually like. And this is something that I do regularly, where I realize that I've outgrown the version that I am and I'm ready for the new phase. And so treat it like a software upgrade, like your phone. It's time for the software upgrade. And I hope that in this new software upgrade, you teach yourself to learn, because I promise you it will make you smarter and more confident. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that you have an incredible week and that you like this episode. Let me know what else you want to see, and I will be back next week. Thank you.